Today we're going to be talking about something super important called conditional love. Now, this is actually not about just intimate relationships. This is actually primarily about all relationships, whether it be with people you know or people you don't know. This is something I noticed that I have been doing and I'm calling myself out on it and sharing it with you so you can call yourself out on it too. Here is the deal by what I mean by conditional love in the context of this video, and I want you to take this away and I want you to think about it and ask yourself, do I do this? Witness yourself, observe yourself over the coming day or week and see if you do this. And if you do it, make it a practice to kick it in the butt and stop it. Because the world needs a lot of unconditional love and genuine, authentic open-heartedness. It can't take any more people walking around unconsciously, egos running us, and conditional love behaviour. Okay, so because you're here in the community with me, the Pinch Me Dum community, part of your job is to evolve for your own personal growth, but also because as you do, it's a contribution, right? It's a contribution to everybody around you and to the whole planet. So here's the deal with conditional love. What I mean by that is love in this context is all expressions of love. Compassion, kindness, politeness, tolerance, understanding, every type of expression of love. Because love is a core foundation of who you are. Okay, so this isn't about romantic love, but it can be expressed as romantic love. Or it can just be love for family members and friends, or it can be kindness and compassion and politeness towards complete strangers. Every expression of love. You obviously want to be living and walking your life optimally, if you could, in a state of unconditional love, right? That doesn't mean having no boundaries, by the way, FYI. It doesn't mean about opening yourself up and just being a doormat for everybody and being unconditional in the sense of you can do whatever you want to me and there's no consequences. That's not what this is about. What I mean by this is, if you interact with somebody, are you polite as long as they're polite to you? And if they're not polite to you, all of a sudden all gloves are off and it's open field. I'm going to give you back what you gave to me. So if you're rude to me, watch out because I'm going to be rude back to you. Or if someone is kind and compassionate, you're kind and compassionate back. Or you first start being kind and compassionate, and so long as they continue to give it back to you, you'll continue to be kind and compassionate. But the second they're not kind and compassionate and they're intolerant or they don't understand, you give back to them the same they gave to you, which is you stop being kind and compassionate and you start being intolerant or not understanding or whatever it is. This is what I'm calling conditional love. Okay, so it's conditional kindness, conditional politeness, conditional tolerance, conditional whatever expression of love. AKA, so long as you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And the second you're not, I'm going to turn to the same energy that you give to me. This is the problem we have. A whole lot of people, including me, and probably some of you who are watching this, walking around and we're doing our best and we're being really positive, but as soon as somebody comes into our path and they don't give us the same back, our ego rears up, our judgment rears up, and out of us comes something that is not love. Okay? Or we're going about our day and someone is, maybe we haven't been in great energy, but someone gives us something we don't want and we just mirror it. We're ending up just mirroring what's out there in the world. It just doesn't work, and it's actually not an evolved way of living. And I know you're interested in your personal growth, or you wouldn't be here on this YouTube channel. You'd be off doing something else on YouTube. Or if you're here on my website, it's because you're spending time here because you want to evolve. It's not like you want to listen to me rabbit on in these videos. You're here because you want to evolve. So it benefits you to get real with yourself about where you are being conditional with your love and your behaviour, and to start to self-correct, to call yourself out and change that. I realised this because usually what happens with me where I don't do that is I can be very, very, very tolerant and understanding with people I'm really close to and with people in my community, but if it's a complete and utter stranger and it's a fleeting interaction and I'm very happy and I'm very compassionate, I'm very smiley and very giving and loving, and they give me something that's very the opposite, that is when my ego will quickly rear up and I will immediately switch and get affronted. And maybe I catch myself in 5 or 10 seconds, hopefully, and so it doesn't come out, but I notice that that is where I'll be polite until you're very rude back to me, and if you're very rude back to me in that fleeting interaction, it will get my back up really, really fast. And so my practice has been, what I want to encourage you to do, is that you don't become a doormat for that. That's not what it's about at all. But it's instead this. Here I was, being really polite, smiling, being compassionate, being kind, interacting with you, and you have come at me with something really negative that I don't deserve and I did not provoke. And I notice my upset, and then you know what? I'm going to be unconditionally loving in that situation, because guess what? That must be painful to be in your shoes right now. So if you are throwing that at me, that is within you in this moment, that must be very unpleasant. I know what that feels like, and I'm not going to make this about me. And the only way that you're going to get out of that pain, and that I'm going to stay in peace and flow in unconditional love, is if I don't feel that fire in you. And so my job is to see this person that is firing their intolerance or misunderstanding or their ego or their grievances or whatever at me, and say, I know that's not who you are. I'm not going to lay down and take it, but I know that's not who you are, so I'm not going to bite back on that. What I'm going to do is either I'm just going to be peaceful and silent in this, or I'm going to remove myself from the situation, or I'm going to calmly assert boundaries with no negative energy behind it. I'm just going to be very clear, calm and confident about that. So there's lots of different ways you can deal with it in terms of actually how you respond, but the point is this. When you're going around being loving and kind and compassionate and nice, when do you stop doing that? What triggers you where you become conditional? I'm polite until you do this. Now I'm not polite anymore. I'm loving and compassionate and kind and grateful until this happens, and then I stop. Notice where that block is, and your job is to break through it so that you can be unconditional love, which is the energy of the core of who you are. It's the energy of your soul. It's the energy of the universe. It's the energy of the oneness. How can I be that in the face of anything, even when I'm not getting it back? And that is the point. Okay, so I want you to look for that in your life. I want you to see where it happens, that you go from unconditional to conditional, and I want you to start to practice, how could I shift that pattern for myself? It's very simple. Notice it, call yourself out, take a deep breath, and choose differently. Right? Simple mindfulness, simple interruption technique. It's not simple in terms of always catching yourself, but you get better by building the practice. You build it like a muscle. You go to the gym to build your muscles, right? It's practice. You want to build your health, your well-being, your emotional state, your psychological state, anything, your relationships. It takes practice. And so you have to be committed to it. So that's something that I've been really noticing recently, is to in all ways make that a priority, to not drop from unconditional into conditional when somebody triggers me. And I'd love you to do the same. Let that energy ripple out and affect others positively. Maybe have an impact on somebody who is not being very pleasant towards you. Maybe your energy will help it shift them for them. And, you know, you don't have to shift them. You don't have to have that impact. But if it did, wouldn't that be a nice bonus? Okay. So let me know how you get on with that. Leave a comment with this vid. If you're here on my social media or you're on my website, make sure you reach out and let me know. It's very important. We're a two-way. This is a community. I want to engage with you. And I am super looking forward to sharing more daily inspiration, other coaching tips and tools with you. I'll see you again really soon.